Welcome back to TTS Daily. So our first story, has there been a US and China tariff trade talk? Next on, host Bill O'Reilly just said what about Malaysia? Following up that, there was a Chinese trade incident where someone actually put their body on the line for someone else. In Singapore, Changi Airport has been doing great numbers such as, and last story of the day, there have been cases of a SG Crow attack, so be careful. Right, our first story, this is an update on the US and China tariff trade talk. So a reporter was heard asking, there have been news and maybe hearings that maybe US and China have commenced talk on possible, trade deals. And then China Foreign Ministry spokesperson actually replied and emphasized that no such talks actually took place, and urged US to abolish any unilateral tariffs and engage in equal dialogue to resolve issues. And then later on that day, US President Donald Trump claimed that US and China officials actually met to discuss easing the trade war, but he did not specify the participants. So people are left wondering, actually, did any trade talks actually happen? On one side, China is saying no such talks happened, but Trump did say yes, people did meet and people did discuss, but we do not know the exact details. Stay tuned. So former Fox News host Bill O'Reilly just posted this on his social media page, and he claims that Malaysia has no money in response to Chinese President Xi Jinping's visit to the country. His comments sparked significant backlash in Malaysia and garnered a lot of criticism. So much so that Prime Minister Anwar condemned O'Reilly, calling him arrogant and ignorant for his remarks. And O'Reilly actually made a follow-up video response to those claims. He reasserted that Malaysians lack spending power, unable to afford small hats or even take out food, and are barely eating, which is okay. But then he also ended off the video by saying Malaysia is a beautiful but complicated country and wished Malaysia all the best. And he also mistakenly claimed that former US President Barack Obama was partially raised in Malaysia. I think he was confusing it with Indonesia, okay? We go to China's Shenzhen right now, where a 43-year-old female passenger deliberately blocked the train doors, as you can see from the pictures and videos here, even using her hands, her legs to block the door from closing just because her friend haven't boarded the train. Train staff tried, getting her into the train cabin, but she kept coming out despite train staff trying to, get her safely in. First of all, it's dangerous to do so, but you should also understand that train run on schedules, just like ships and planes. You cannot just block the doors and expect the train not to depart, and expect the train not to move off. Finally, we can see that she was waiting for her friend, a female passenger, and two young boys. And she actually put her body on a line so that her friends could board the train in time. But actually, not in time. They boarded the train late. Everyone was late because of her. Her actions were deemed as obstructing the normal operation of transportation vehicles by police, leading to her detention at a subsequent stop. This happened at the Shenzhen North Railway Station, and trust me, netizens are up in raw. People were really angry for actions, and she has went totally viral. But, at least hopefully she learned her lessons, and people watching this, also learn that, the train are not your private transport vehicles for you to stop as and when you like. Singapore Changi Airport just received 17.2 million passengers in Q1 2025. That is an up 4.3% from Q1 2024. And take note, this is 4.8% higher than Q1 2019, which is pre-COVID levels. And for the rolling 12-month passengers traffic, it hit a record of 68.4 million, surpassing pre-pandemic levels for the first time ever. This is actually huge news, We have now surpassed pre-pandemic levels before everything changed during COVID, right? Okay? The top 5 tourist source countries for Singapore Changi Airport are China, Indonesia, Malaysia, Australia, and Thailand. Well done, Changi Airport. And finally, our last story of the day. So in Singapore, Miss Lee, a 67-year-old cybersecurity professional, actually got attacked by a crow on 11 November 2024 at around 5 AM. It was near Roxy Square, East Coast Road, while she was walking to a bus stop. She was attacked by a crow that chased and pecked her, targeting the back of her head, and this was her second crow attack in 2 years. So crow attacks are actually a very real thing in Singapore. She fell during the attack, resulting in a bruised and swollen right palm and knee abrasions, and the hospital diagnosed her with also a fractured right pinky finger, and fingers had to be bandaged for 2 months after emergency care. So we've been covering stories about, feeding wildlife pigeons and comparing to feeding to community animals, and now we understand why we should not be feeding wildlife animals such as pigeons and crows. And sometimes even restaurants leave food scraps in back alleys which attract crows, pigeons, and wild chickens. And sometimes residents also scatter rice to feed birds despite fines up to 10,000 Singapore dollars under the Wildlife Act. This isn't even the first incident or lone incident of crow attacks in Singapore like I've mentioned before. Just last year alone, we have seen reports on crow attacks in Tampines, even crows attack in Orchard Road. So yeah, stay safe and please do not feed the wildlife animals.